Alexandra Eala preparing for 2026 in style, hits practice with idol Rafael Nadal. Alexandra Eala is already preparing for the new season, and she is doing it in style after hitting the practice court with none other than Rafael Nadal. On November 19, 2024, Nadal's career officially came to an end after he was beaten by Botic van de Zandschulp in the Davis Cup Final 8, and Spain went on to lose to the Netherlands. Exactly a year later, the former 22-time Grand Slam champion returned to the court. And for his first practice partner, he picked Eala, who went to his academy and is now one of the brightest talents in women's tennis. 1 year later, it felt great to be back on a tennis court. It was great to practice with you, Alex Eala. Next time I will be stronger, the Spanish tennis icon captioned his Instagram post. In the comments section, the 20-year-old rising star wrote, "Thank you for today, Rafa." What Eala once said about Nadal. As mentioned above, Eala attended the Rafael Nadal Academy and graduated from it in 2023. Before her graduation, the Filipina drew attention to herself when she won the 2022 U.S. Open girls singles title. Over the last couple of years, Eala spoke extremely highly of Nadal and his presence several times. And in one of her interviews, she admitted to being inspired by just watching how the Spaniard went about his career and daily habits. It is hugely inspirational to see him practicing almost every day and to see him in the gym. It's really motivating to see his work ethic, and something that we can all copy from him. Of course, to be within the presence of all this history, and especially here in the museum to see it again. I looked up to him as a kid and I saw a lot of similarities. You know, we're both lefties. I loved how he fought on court. So I try to also channel that when I play tennis, Eala said of Nadal in one of her past interviews. This year, Eala wrote tennis history multiple times as she is the first Filipina to win a WTA singles title, break into the top 100 in the world, and reach a WTA 1000 semifinal. She finished the 2025 season enjoying a career-high ranking of number 50 in the world. The late afternoon sun dipped low over Mallorca, staining the sky with the same fiery hue one often sees in post-match victory photos. At the Rafa Nadal Academy, the air buzzed with the familiar rhythm of tennis, the thwack of strings meeting felt, the squeak of shoes on acrylic, the soft grunt of effort that every player learns to shape into discipline. But today, the atmosphere held something more, an electricity that came from a rising star standing just across the net from the legend who inspired her. Alexandra, Eala wiped her brow, her breath steady and sharp. She'd trained countless hours on these courts before, but today was different. Today she was hitting with Rafael Nadal, not just watching him, not just learning from his videos, not just practicing under his academy's programs, but rallying with him, exchanging balls as equals in effort and ambition. Muy bien, Alex, Nadal called out with that understated confidence that had once dominated the ATP Tour. Again. More topspin this time. Alex nodded, half smiling, half jaw-clenching. Her 2026 season was looming on the horizon, a year that promised to be pivotal. She had climbed the junior ranks, entered the pro circuit with admirable grit, and carved a reputation as the fiercest competitor to come from the Philippines. But she wanted more. She wanted to step onto center courts not simply as a promising talent, but as a true contender. And who better to sharpen herself with than the king of clay, the master of endurance, the player who embodied resilience. Training with Nadal wasn't just inspiration, it was immersion in a standard of greatness she sought for herself. She bounced on her toes, ready. Nadal served, not a full-blown tournament serve, but still heavy, still swirling with that unmistakable lefty spin. The ball kicked toward her, and Alex sprang forward, returning with a deep cross-court shot. "Eso!" Nadal exclaimed, grinning. They fell into a rhythm, one that blurred time. Alex felt each stroke as if her entire year hinged on it. Her legs burned, her lungs expanded like balloons ready to burst, and sweat streamed down her temples. But she was glowing, alive in that way only athletes in the thick of their craft can be. Between points, Nadal walked over, tapping her shoulder lightly with the grip of his racket. "You're stronger," he said. "Your timing, faster. You've changed." "I have to," Alex replied. 2026 feels big. Like it's calling me to be better." Nadal nodded, the kind of nod that conveyed both understanding and approval. "Every year calls us. But only a few answer with conviction." His words sank into her like anchors, rooting her resolve even deeper. They took a short break, sitting on the bench as the Mallorcan breeze cooled their flushed faces. Alex reached into her bag for her journal, the one she carried to every training session. Its pages were filled with drills, techniques, quotes from mentors, and little reminders to herself like trust your rise and the hard days build the strong days. "You still write everything down?" Nadal asked, amused. "Always. Helps me stay sharp." She grinned. "You did tell me to keep track of progress." "See, but I didn't think you'd fill it like a novel." "Well," Alex said with a laugh, "I plan to make it a bestseller." Nadal chuckled, stretching his legs. "Then let's work on the next chapter." They returned to the baseline, this time focusing on footwork. Nadal, still remarkably fast even after scaling down his professional calendar, demonstrated small adjustment steps, those subtle movements that made all the difference in controlling pace. "Quick but light," he coached. "Your body is fast. Let the feet follow without tension." Alex mimicked him, matching his rhythm. She knew this. Greatness wasn't built in sweeping gestures. It was hidden in the tiny, almost invisible skills. The footwork drills, the mental resets, the small improvements in timing, these were the threads that would weave her path to the 2026 season. As the shadows lengthened across the court, their practice transitioned into match play points. Nadal hit a deep forehand that clipped the baseline, and Alex sprinted, sliding just enough to whip the ball back with a heavy cross-court topspin. Nadal raised his brow. "That's new." "Been working on it," Alex replied, breathless but triumphant. "And it shows," he said. She felt a surge of pride. Not the superficial kind, but the pride that comes from knowing you're becoming the version of yourself you dreamed of. She imagined 2026, walking into the Australian Open with confidence, playing with clarity and purpose, carrying her flag high. She imagined kids back home watching her matches, seeing themselves in her effort, in her fire. They played one last point, a blistering rally that forced both to tap into their grit. Alex ended it with a bold down-the-line forehand winner. Nadal paused, then lifted his racket in acknowledgement. "Punto espectacular." That single gesture, simple, sincere, meant more to her than any trophy she had ever won. As the evening sky darkened and the academy lights flickered on, they finally stepped off the court, shoulders aching, hearts full. Alex collected her bag, but before leaving, she turned back to look at the court where she had hit with the man who had defined an era of tennis. "Rafa," she said softly, "thank you. For today. For everything."